Story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely. Won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely. Won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning and welcome to Storytime. Thank you for joining me. Oh my goodness, happy Tuesday to you wherever you are joining us from today. Thank you for being here. And as you know, we have a wonderful guest with us. Padgy Soltis will be joining us for this reading and also talking about a book in great detail. So thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, please let me know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. This book that we're reading today, and let me try this. VOLVERO de NUEVO. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I will come back. That I can say. Thank you so much for joining in. And this one is written by Padgy Soltis and illustrated by GABRIELLA ALDEMAN, and then translated by DZVINKA RAK. I hope I'm getting those that information correctly. I might have those two turned around. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome to Storytime. This is a powerful story, a very passionate story, and a story that is very relatable. I think most of us out there will be able to relate to this, young and adult all together. So thank you so much for joining in, and I hope that you enjoy this book and of course learning about it as well. Thank you so much for joining in. Where are you joining us from today? Good morning to you and welcome. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you, Amanda West. How are you doing? And Sarah and Nathan, thank you for joining us today. I am glad you are here with us on Storytime today. As always, Sarah and Nathan, big hugs to you. Thank you so much for being here. JJ, I've missed you so much. Good to see you joining us from Seattle. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. And Priska, how are you doing today? And of course, JJ Senior, thank you so much for being here. How is Seattle today? Good to see you. Thank you for joining in. Oh my goodness. JJ, how's the music going and everything exciting that you do? Good morning to you, Betty Graydon out in Florida. How are you today? Thank you for being here. Good morning, or is it good afternoon in the Sunshine State? Thank you so much for being here. Chris and Mitchell, and of course, Borden, how are you doing out in Vermont? And you say he's home with a head cold. Oh, Borden, we're wishing you well. I'm glad that you're able to join in Storytime, but I hope you recover quickly. Yes, I hope all those good things, the goodies that Mommy has prepared out there for you today all work to make you feel better. And of course, a wonderful story that we get to read together as well. Get well soon, young man. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Well, without much ado, I am going to be bringing on our guest for today, and this is Padgy Soltis, and you learn a little bit about her, and then we get into the book, and then we'll come back for more. Padgy, welcome to Storytime.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us and for sharing this book with us today.
Thank you.
Where are you joining us from today, Padgy?
I am in North Carolina.
Oh, nice. For some reason, I was thinking New Jersey or something. I'm
from New Jersey, but I'm stationed in North Carolina.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
How's the weather like today? Or how's the weather like around this time of the year?
It's hot and
Oh.
humid.
Oh, well, if you're saying hot and humid, that takes me into another thing, and then an ice cream day, we hope.
Yes.
What is your go-to ice cream?
We love to go to a paleteria. It's a Mexican ice cream shop here. And my favorite is their vanilla Nutella-filled paleta.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I should try that. I don't know if we have one of those on this side. Like, I would love to try it out. I'll look for one for sure. And is that the go-to for the family, the entire family, or just you?
Yes, that is the go-to. We stock up every single time we go.
Nice. Well, you have this book for us and you're doing the reading. But before you go into that, just what was the inspiration for this book?
So off of the title, I Will Come Back, Volveré de Nuevo in Spanish. I was inspired to write it.
I love the way you say it, by the way.
I was inspired to write it because due to the military, I'm in the military, active duty. I had to go away from my son a couple times. The first time was when he was 8 months old. They sent me away for 2 months. And then again, when he was 2 years old, I was away for 9 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I originally wrote it when I separated from him when he was 8 months old. And it was my way of kind of getting those feelings out of me that I was feeling about being away from him.
Yeah.
I wanted him, even though he was only 8 months old, to remember that I was always going to come back to him. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And just to make sure that you're reading this book for us, and it is illustrated by DZVINKA RAK and translated by Gabriella Aldeman. So I just I knew I had those. As soon as I said it, I knew I had them backwards. But yes, translated by Gabriella Aldeman and illustrations by DZVINKA RAK. And of course, written by Padgy right here. Well, Padgy, we're going to get into the reading and then we'll come back and talk some more on the other side.
Awesome.
Oh, yours. Yeah.
So I will be reading the book in English and then in Spanish. I will come back. Volveré de nuevo. I will come back. Please do not cry. I wish I could stay. I do not like goodbyes. Volveré de nuevo. No llores, mi vida. Quisiera quedarme, no darte una despedida. I will come back to tickle your nose and count one by one your 10 tiny toes. Volveré de nuevo para hacerte cosquillas y contar los deditos que esconden tus zapatillas. I will come back to give you cuddles, and if it rains, we'll jump in the puddle. Volveré de nuevo para mimarte con todo, y si hay lluvia en el cielo, saltar en charcos de lodo. I will come back to take your sweet hand. We'll head to the beach to play in the sand. Volveré de nuevo a tomar tu dulce mano. Nos iremos a la playa a jugar desde temprano. I will come back to give you a hug. We'll look for the stars twinkling high up above. Volveré de nuevo para darte un fuerte abrazo y en la noche ver estrella brillar desde el ocaso. I will come back to tuck you in at night, but first we'll take a swing at a mighty pillow fight. Volveré de nuevo, haremos muchas pijamadas, pero primero jugaremos una gran guerra de almohadas. No matter how often I have to let go, I need you to know I will always come home. No importa cuántas veces te tenga que dejar, necesito que sepas esto, siempre voy a regresar. I will come back to sing you a song. Right here with you is where I belong. Volveré de nuevo para cantarte una canción, porque tú eres mi cielo, mi hogar y mi ilusión. Whether I'm gone for hours or days, remember, I love you forever, always. Aunque sean horas o días desde que he partido, solo recuerda que te quiero y así siempre ha sido. I will come back. I promise it's true. I'd never let anything keep me from you. Volveré de nuevo, te lo puedo asegurar, porque nada en este mundo jamás nos puede separar.
Yay! Oh, thank you, Padgy, for that. That was so beautiful, and there's just so many things in there that that you talk about that I just love, and also just want to hear, you know, like your own experience. I think one of the things that you mention in the book is you say, whether I'm gone for hours or days, remember I love you forever, always. And just thinking about that too, is it different for you when you're gone a day versus when you're gone the long time? Like, extended period.
I was gone for 9 months. I deployed to the Middle East, and my son was 2, so he didn't really understand like he mommy every day on the phone kind of thing. But now that he's older, he's 5. I sometimes have to stand duty, and that's a 24-hour post. So I just have to, you know, I'm on base all day, and I come home the next day, and he still experiences that separation. He doesn't want me to go. You know, he wants me to be there to tuck him in at night. He wants me to be there to play with him, and I can't be there because in the military I have obligations that I have to.
Yeah.
This book has helped me give him an understanding that it's only I'll be gone for 24 hours, but I'm coming back. And if I'm gone for a week or a month, I'm going to come back to you. Like, it's not that I'm leaving you. I want him to understand that.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Like, that inspiration for the book and looking at it, you having to go it. I mean, whether you're gone a long time or gone a short time. And I hope that parents that are watching out there, let us know too, like, how is it for you, you know, like when you're leaving for a long time or a short time, depending on what you do. But also, I just wanted to touch on one thing there is, are there things that you've gotten better at preparing, or what is it that you do to prepare for being gone a short time and being gone a long time? Are they different?
It's different now that he understands. A lot more communication with him. So preparing him. So once I know that I have duty, let's say I already know the date that I have duty for August. So I'm preparing him already, like, hey, on this day, mommy's not going to be home that day. You're going to be home with daddy the whole day. So just a lot of communication with him now that he's able to understand things a bit more.
Right. That's okay. And then, you know, like in the same vein, do you have pets?
I do.
I'm just wondering, like, what kind of pets do you have? I'm sure people would like to know too out there. That everybody's.
I had a German Shepherd, but he has passed away, and now I have just a Chihuahua, I had to put him downstairs because not he'd be barking up here.
Yeah. No, I love pets. So maybe before you go, it might come in and say hi. It'll be nice. Yeah. So, you know, like just thinking about that, do you do anything to prepare your pet for when you're leaving?
Luckily, the Chihuahua doesn't care that I leave.
Yeah.
The German Shepherd that I had was very attached. So I would, you know, the whole morning ritual by, you know, mommy, you know, all that good stuff that you normally do. I had to do with him as well. But the book, I'm in the military, so I'm away from family. So grandma, grandparents, uncles, aunts, all in different states. And my son does miss them. So this book is also a reminder to him that they're going to come back too. You know, like we don't live together, but they will come back to you. So
no, that's so important. That's and you know, like just talking about that, I see that Chrissy here. And of course, Bowden, we're wishing you a quick recovery. Is saying, what a beautiful story, Padgy. I have to fly to Ohio later this week and will be away from my son for a few days. You know, of course, today is nothing compared to the months you'll be gone. But this is so timely. And thank you for sharing this story with the world. So, you know, like messages like this, how does that make you feel about the book and also like you're, you know, like helping parents?
That makes me really, really happy for a family to be able to connect with the story. I've had other people reach out to me as well, like, hey, I bought your book. My friend, one of my closest friends, she left to Florida and her kids were with their dad in North Carolina for a while, and he bought 2 copies of the book, one for them to keep and one for her, and they would read it together every night. And just hearing things like that really made me happy, because her kids were having a hard time with being away from her. And so they were able to read the story, and so they were reunited again. So that does make me happy.
Oh, that's good. And then you have here, and this is a detail I didn't even know. Amanda, Sarah, and Nathan, thanks for sharing, and say we really appreciate this book as a military family. You know, Nathan and Sarah have both, and then there's 6 at this point. They've both had to experience dad's long-term deployments and shorter long trips, and having books to explain to them what's going on is such a valuable resource for the kids to understand. And also for the adults, I think that's also an important piece for the adults to help their kids bridge that time between leaving and going home. So, you know, like more people relating to that on that. And yeah, I don't know how that also, you know, like makes you feel in this.
Yeah, being military, children experience a lot of separation, especially if you have a high deploying job. My son has experienced a deployment, a 6-month deployment away from his dad, and then a 9-month deployment away from me. Luckily not at the same time, but he has dealt with that separation from both of us. So I do want to connect with military families. I've been reaching out to some organizations to see if they're interested in possibly doing a story time or in the book itself. But I'd love to connect with military families. You know, I'm in the military. I thank everyone that has ever served, because it's a tough job. It's not only on the military member, but on the family as well.
Pardon, what was the last bit?
I want to thank everyone that has served, because it's tough on the member serving, but also on the family who has to keep everything together when they are away.
Yeah, no, thank you. And and honestly too, I do not say this lightly, like, thank you for your service and thank you for what you do, because I cannot even imagine doing that. Like, but to see people that do it, dedicated to it, and as you're saying, family members that go through that experience with them, right? Like, there's so much that goes on, and I just want to really appreciate that, and I think a lot of people do. So the other thing I was thinking too is you put tally marks in the book. I noticed the calendar or tallies that are there on here. So just wondering too, like, were those the actual days, or why is there the calendar and the tally marks? Are they the same thing or are they different?
I'm glad that you noticed that.
I'm learning to be like the kids out there and actually look at the book closely.
Yes. So the calendar does signify the months that I was gone. And then the tally marks, obviously it's by 5, so I couldn't get it down to the exact number.
Yeah.
But it is the closest number that I could get to the number of days that I was gone. And then that's my dedication page. Right. For all of the days that I was apart. So I'm glad you really got that.
No, I was looking at it, I was like, oh, there's definitely symbolism here going on. So I appreciate, so is that for all the days together, the big trips that you did, or?
No, that was only my long period, 9-month period.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of short trips and those off days or weeks that they've sent me for different trainings kind of thing. But that was my big deployment.
Right. And how old was your son at this point for your first one? I know you mentioned earlier, but how old was your son?
He was 8 months old when I went away for 2 months.
Yeah.
From him. Yeah. So.
At that point, do you think maybe because I don't know how much, like how much kids at that point can communicate and how much they'll miss mommy and so on, but like, do you think it was harder? Was it harder for you at that point versus him? And then when he's old and now understands, like you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so I don't know how he felt because he was 8 months.
Right. Yeah.
Like that. But it was very hard. As a new mom, this is the first time I'm leaving my kid, and it's for an period of time. I knew that there was a change because when I got back, he wanted me, but he wanted dad a lot more.
Yeah.
So it was trying to get back into the groove kind of thing. But definitely I think it was harder on me, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah. So, like in leaving, and I know you've touched on this too, like why did you feel that these reassurances were so important that you had to put them in this lovely book? Like why were these reassurances important to you, and why are they important, to everybody, sharing with everybody?
So it was important for me to make it into a book because when I was going through that separation, I was looking for books that I could share with him and record for him or read to him via FaceTime, all that, great technology that we have now. And I couldn't find any that were bilingual. And that is an important thing for me. I'm raising him to be bilingual. My husband doesn't speak Spanish, so I'm the only Spanish input that my son gets. And even English books that we have, if you open them, they have tape in them, and I have translated them. Wow. Because it's really important to me.
Yeah.
I was like, if I don't do it, I don't know that someone else is.
Right.
So I started on the journey of publishing my book.
Right. And then too, like if you're moving, you're not that, like living close to family all the time, that maybe may be able to also be Spanish input, don't.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's double-edged. Wow. No, that's amazing. And I really appreciate this. And I just want to say too that if you're on right now, I know that Amanda, you mentioned being a military family. I'm going to send you this book and I'll get in touch later. Amanda West and also Chrissy Mitchell, I'll send you this book. Just because you are mentioning being away from your son. And I think it is one of those things at times where somebody like me, for example, who does not have kids may not fully get it, may not fully appreciate it. But I've been away from friends. I've been away from family. I'm away from family even as we speak right now. And I know how that feels like, how sometimes you feel like I really wish I could talk to somebody right now and there's nobody there. So just or I wish somebody talk to somebody who understands what I'm going through. So I will send you, Amanda and Chrissy Mitchell, this book, so we'll get in touch later on. But another thing, Padgy, that I had there too was like you mentioned a project. I think you mentioned something about being able to read to kids when you're gone, FaceTime and so on. And you mentioned a project where you recorded some books to read to students. So how does that work, or what is that project? And I thought it was a really cool idea for all parents out there.
Yes. So it's actually a military program. It's the USO is the organization, and they're in certain locations. I was in Afghanistan, so they were in Afghanistan, and they would sometimes come to my base. And at my base, they would bring books, a video recorder, and a couple other things. So basically, you get to pick a book, record your child, and then send the book as well as the recording back home. And they can then put it on the TV and watch you read that story. So I absolutely love that program. They didn't have Spanish books, so every time I would go get a book, run to my desk, translate it, and then record myself. But that's a great way to stay connected. I know a couple of my friends that I deployed with just recorded themselves on their iPhone, so the spouse could show their child reading them a bedtime story or throughout.
No, that's lovely. Yeah, so parents out there, there's something that was mentioned. Oh, JJ, I'm adding you to the list too. We're going to send you a book as well. So one of the things that I was listening to on the radio the other day was, well, first of all, the parents with the recording. I think it's cool that parents, maybe you could try and do that. That's something that we could do, record and maybe leave it at home. So, then they can always go back to it. But I thought it was, when you mentioned that, it just opened up my mind to so much, like it's such a great program. Yeah. But also the other day I was listening on the radio and they were talking about childcare for people who have to go away for work. People have to, it talked about ballerinas, people in the military and so on. And so there are these programs. I can't remember exactly the program, but like it helps finance some of the childcare and so on. And so I just wanted to know, like, what do you do for childcare? Or does the military have measures in place for all of them? So I have 2 kids now. One's 9 months and then 5. Yeah. And they both go to on base
childcare. I'm at a
yeah.
bigger base that has that available, and it's semi-subsidized, semi-not subsidized. But they have a great program. I have been so happy with them over the last 5 years. And then my oldest will be starting kindergarten school this year, so he'll be in school, and it'll just be my little one.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those bits. And just you know, like I was just thinking as we were talking too, it's like it's so important that those resources are there, and hopefully for those that are, you know, like not in such a fortunate situation to have that, can also be reaching out for other things, and that we as a nation, I think, should do better, you know, providing those for people, right? So how long, we know what inspired this project, but how long did it take you from the time it was created to the time now that we're able to hold it in our hands?
I wish I had it. I have it somewhere. The original the original writing that I did, I did it on the computer paper. That was done in 2017. And then I put it away. It was in a box forever.
Yeah.
I deployed all that good stuff. And then in 2020, the year that we had, I went through a lot of things with my family and all that. And I found it. I found the box. I found the paper. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to get this story out there, because, you know, you don't know how much time you have.
Right.
And so that was in October of 2020. And I officially released the book in April of 2021. So that's about 6-7 months of work between writing, illustrating, translating, formatting, everything that you can possibly think of that goes into making a book.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how were you able to juggle all that, you know, like the writing, the parenting, serving the country, like all of that? How does that all come together?
So luckily, or maybe unlucky, I was on maternity leave. My son was born in October when I decided to do this venture. So I was home. I didn't have to technically work because I'm on maternity leave. And with the age of technology and COVID, everything was now done virtually. So I found an illustrator online virtually. I talked to her via email, via text. I found an editor. I found everything I needed. And just with a lot of patience, things get accomplished.
Yeah. Patience. I love that. And what was something that surprised you through the whole process? Just whether it's the writing, whether it's the, you know, publishing piece or the marketing piece, or what is it that surprised you? Something that
I was surprised how much work takes place after you did all the work to make the book. So it's a lot of work to make the book, but the real work comes after the book, when now it's out into the world and you have to share this story with the world. I don't have a publisher behind me putting my book into people's hands. I am the marketer, I'm everything for this book. So I've been surprised with how much I have to continue doing in order to share my story.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think, you know, like it's really, like, you deserve praise because you've put out such a great book. And I, you know, like, just to think of all the different things that you had to do and still have to do to get it out there. And I wish, you know, like, I hope that part of the things that we can do as community members out there is to request these books in our libraries, request them at your schools, gift them to people in your schools, in your libraries, in places where you want them to be seen. And that way we're beginning to have those conversations, like the important conversation that this book definitely brings. So thank you for sharing that. And also, what is something that you look on fondly the most from this book? Something that just warms your heart every time you think about it?
I still haven't. My son brought the book into his daycare and wants me to read it to his classroom. So that I still haven't had the chance. The work schedule, and I've been classes and conferences, but before he leaves daycare, I will be reading the book to his classroom, and he's just so excited that his mom has a book out there and he can't wait to share it with his friends.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, I cannot wait to hear about that. And then I know that you had mentioned with, like that you translate a few of the books you do, and, well, the books that you read when you mentioned that when you find they don't have Spanish in there, and you try to make sure that you have that accessible for your son or for your kids. But I know that you didn't translate this one. Why was that?
Spanish is my first language. I speak it. I write it. I can't rhyme in Spanish to save my life. And I wanted it to have the flow and the rhythm and the rhyming that it has in English. And I knew that I couldn't do that justice. So I wanted to find a professional to do it, because, like I said, I absolutely love finding bilingual books for my kid. And when they're poorly translated, it's sometimes frustrating for me. I make up my own version kind of thing.
Yeah, man.
This was done right.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. And how did you meet the translator? How did you pick the translator? How did that work for you?
I've got two translators. I found one on a freelance website, and then another one off of a Facebook group. I found her, emailed her, and she got back to me. And I actually went with the one that I found, the second one on the Facebook group. She's been absolutely a dream to work with. I adore her. And if I write any other books, she is the person that I want translating it.
Yeah, awesome. No, that is great. It is great to find those relationships that you can carry on. So you mentioned, like if you do write other books, are there any other books that we should expect from Padgy?
As of right now, there are no other books in the making. I am still writing. I'm exploring that right now, but nothing official out there.
Yeah. Well, we wish you the best. And if this is anything to go by, I hope that, you put out more stuff out there that we can enjoy. I absolutely love this book. And just, as we're coming to a close, just wanted to also, two things. First of all, just like, where can people get this book? Where do they find it? How do they find you? And also, at some point, you mentioned maybe doing a visit to your child's school. Will you be able to do author visits and things like that? Where can people find you? And then maybe I'll leave that for now, and then I'll come to the next bit.
Okay. So the book is available on Amazon, on Target, and I believe it's on Barnes & Nobles. And then I do have a website. It's padgysoltis.square.site. But you can find me on Instagram. My name is very rare, so you're not going to find many of me out there. But you can find me there. And then I am open to author visits. I've done one virtually for a school in Manhattan a couple months ago. So I am open to that.
Oh, awesome. Well, I will definitely be putting up all your information later on so people can have access to you and your work. The other thing that I had for you too was I think one of my favorite bits from the book is where you mention, I will be back to give you cuddles. I got just, it's such a warm feeling. What is the thing that you miss the most when you're gone?
That's probably it. I hug my son a lot. He's tired of my hugs. But that, just holding him in my arms, there's no feeling that I can't describe it. I remember when I got back from my deployment and I saw him and he ran to me, I was shaking. My whole body was just shaking. It had 9 months since I was able to hold my child. So that being able to cuddle with him is what I love the most.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing all that, this book, your story, and also, for what you're doing for our country too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh. Well, everybody that was joining in today, we had Padgy Soltis, of course, read her book, this wonderful, wonderful book. I will come back. Volvero de nuevo. I can't say that with a straight face. I keep thinking oh no. It is written by Padgy Soltis and illustrated by GABRIELLA, illustrated by DZVINKA RAK. And translated by Gabriella Aldeman. Thank you for joining in today on Storytime. And please, I will get in touch with, and I'll definitely work with Padgy so we can have them signed for you, and I will get those copies and send them to you, Chrissy, Priska, and Amanda West, for Sarah, Nathan, JJ, and also for little Bolden out there. So we'll be sending those to you. But thank you for joining in. And Padgy, I'll catch you on the other side of the bit. Thank you, everybody, for joining in Storytime today. That was our guest, the amazing Padgy Soltis. Yes, doing everything, as you can see, serving our country, taking care of family, and also, you know, like, see that she has a great support with her family as well. Even when she's away, her partner is definitely seems like there's a family support there that we all wish we had, right? So thank you so much for joining in today, and thank you. Look out for all those great programs that, for example, the one that the military is doing in for kids, and maybe something that parents we can do out there if we're going away. Read to our kids, read to us, our children, record those and have them ready. But thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I hope you enjoyed this lovely book that we have here for you today. And also it is bilingual. So hopefully you are able to also try, if you don't speak Spanish like me, you're able to try and just practice and keep saying those words. And, you know, like, the translation is right there for you to know what it means. So thank you so much for joining in. And Padgy Soltis, thank you. A big thank you for this lovely, lovely book that you have out, and a powerful message for all of us. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime today. We'll see you again tomorrow when I'm back with another guest, and we will be reading the book Wishes. This is the latest one from Monty Van, and it is illustrated by Victor Ngai. And this one will definitely be read here on Storytime, and Monty Van will join us for that one. So today we read a lovely, lovely book by Padgy Soltis. Please do find her on social media, and also find her where you get your books. I will come back. VOLVERO de NUEVO. This one was a special one, and definitely one that I think we should all hold close to our hearts. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you tomorrow. Have a lovely day where you are, you and your loved ones. And remember too, like we say, all those little things that you do in your communities, in your neighborhoods, they matter. They might not feel like it at the time, but they do. It is important. And let us contribute to making a wonderful world, to making a world that is just and as fair as possible to everybody out there. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime today. Much love from me, and I will see you again tomorrow for more Storytime. If you're one of the people getting a book from me, look out. I will be in touch to send it to you. Thank you so much for being here. Much love. Bye-bye.
Favorite stories with a great big smile. You only lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. You only lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You only lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be here.